Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something not particularly exciting, but thought I would make a video about it. And that topic is Kodi. So currently in my bedroom, I have a fairly large PC in the closet, and it's, way overkill, but it's really loud and it's got a lot of lights on it. And my Kodi actually stopped working on it. So the thought process is let's do a smaller PC. Let's uh, build Kodi on Linux, and then yeah, we'll go over sort of the installation of Linux, the installation of the newest Kodi, and then I'll show you some tips and tricks to have better streams without buffering. All right, without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so what is Kodi? Um, Lots of people have heard of Kodi. I'm sure there's many who haven't. But Kodi is essentially a media player, and you can also, we'll just say, tune in streams from that you can find on the internet. So I also use it to stream content from my NAS, although at this particular moment my NAS is down. But that was my primary purpose, was from my NAS. We had ripped my DVD and just a small collection of Blu-rays, but we ripped the DVD collection, and that allowed me to play movies when I wanted to see them without hunting down a disc or dealing with discs or putting discs back. And primarily that was when my kids were younger. I would find DVDs all over the living room, under the couch, scratched, ruined, whatever. So that's when I started my DVD ripping adventure. So you can just go to Kodi.tv and you can download the latest release for your OS. Um, like the easiest way is if you're on Windows, you can just get it from here. I'm on Linux. I didn't install Kodi like this. Um, I use the command line, and I'm going to show you that. So the Linux build that we're using is Linux Mint. I like Linux Mint. It's based on Ubuntu or Ubuntu or however you want to pronounce it. And it's clean and it's fast. And the system that I'm going to install it on is it's like a second gen Core i5. And it just runs nice. So what I'll do is I'm going to get you set up, and we're going to have a look at the computer. I have a video card to put in it and an SSD to install onto. And yeah, we'll just get right into this. Back in a bit. On the bench today, what do we have? We have an old Dell computer, a Quadro video card, an SSD, and an external drive with some install media on it. So here's my plan for today. We're going to install Linux on this machine. We're going to get Kodi up and running on this machine, and we'll put an add-on or two and just see how it goes. I think that an i5 and a Quadro should be fine. I did look on the hardware compatibility list for the HEVC codec. So what is that? That's H.265 codec. So in Kodi, you can choose H.264 or H.265. The H.265 are typically better quality, better looking videos at a lower file size. And I believe the Quadro drive that I have has hardware decoding, which is what you want. If you try to watch a H.265 on a machine that doesn't support it, you're using software decoding, and yeah, it can have weird stutters, hiccups, various things that just make it not enjoyable to watch. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's get set up, and I'll put the Quadro and the SSD inside this Dell Optiplex 790. Like I said, it's an i5. I think it's a 2400. And I think it has 12 gigs of RAM. Should be enough to successfully run Kodi and have hardware decoding right on that card. I am missing the back plate, but I don't really care. I took it off for some reason, put it somewhere, and yeah, that's, serves you right for putting stuff away so that you think you're going to find it later, but you're not. It's just not going to happen. All right, back in a bit. All right, let's get this Quadro installed and the SSD here. All right, it'll be a little floppy, but whatever. It'll be fine. It's not like it's going to be moving around in my closet. Okay, so we have our SATA power here and our data. Let's get that plugged in. Let's get that plugged in, and I'm going to show you how this is going to be perfectly secure. There, done. Okay, good, excellent. Let's button this back up, and we'll get some cables installed here in the back of the computer. Get this little breakout cable done. Just goes there. And oh, if I get it lined up right, it'll actually go in. There we go. Some power. USB. That's the mouse. Keyboard. And I just have this external USB-C Samsung solid state drive. And I use a program called Ventoy. I'll show you that once we get up and running. I've got, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 10 different ISOs on here. And Ventoy is just kind of like a bootloader. You can, once it's up and running, you can pick which ISO you want to boot from. So I've got a few Linux versions on there and a couple of Windows ISOs. I'll get set up and I'll turn this computer on and I'll show you. All right, let's get this powered up. Okay, so there's the Kingston drive I just put in, 480 gig. This SSD that it's the USB, is was set up for UEFI boot, but this computer doesn't support that. So the Ventoy can also just boot Legacy, which I'm going to do here, but we have to just pick USB storage. And Ventoy on this particular machine, because I've booted it before, it takes a little bit to load. On a modern machine, it's just a matter of a couple of seconds and you're in the Ventoy menu. So we'll wait here for a sec while this scans these files and boots up into Ventoy. Okay, so here we go. This is Ventoy. Again, it's just a bootloader, and I'll just kind of zoom in a little bit here. So you can see I've got a bunch of ISOs that are copied to this drive. We're going to do the Linux Mint, and but I've got a bunch of stuff like Nobara Linux, or Nobara, whatever. I've got a server, got the Ubuntu, a couple of Windows 11. This one's Windows 11 as well, but doesn't denote its build number, and an XP. So you just kind of pick the ISO that you want. And for me, it's this one. Just hit enter, tell it to boot into normal mode. And doesn't take too long, and we'll start booting Linux Mint. So while we're waiting for this to boot, if you've never heard or seen Linux before, well, actually, I think most people have heard of Linux. Some of the conversations I have with less tech type people, they seem to think that Linux is some sort of magical operating system for geeks and it's too complicated for anybody, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I actually think most Linux distros are easier to install than Windows. And, if you just hang around for a few minutes, I'm going to just install Linux Mint and let you watch me do it. It's super simple. Okay, so this is the live desktop, or sorry, like the demo mode. It's kind of like live Linux. It's not actually installed. It's just running in RAM at this particular moment. So, I mean, you could still open up a web browser. It would be loading this off the USB at this particular moment, so it wouldn't be particularly fast loading. But in a Linux, a live Linux environment, you can do pretty much anything you can do, like from a full install. But anyway, that's not why we're here. Let's go ahead and get Linux Mint installing. Okay, so here we go. We're at the install screen. So yeah, English, sure. It's not a difficult question. What keyboard layout do you have? I think most people could answer this. US English, sure, why not? Continue. Actually, I'm going to connect an Ethernet cable to this machine because I didn't actually do that. You can actually see down here, it doesn't have a connection. Let me do that because I do want the multimedia codecs. There we go. Okay, there we go. We have a connection established. So I'm going to tell it to install the multimedia codecs. And I don't think I particularly need them, but I just like to have them just in case. And continue. Okay, so at this point here, it's asking if you would like to unmount some partitions that are in use. Linux always identifies its drives by /dev or device, and then it'll either be like, SDA, SDB, SDC kind of thing. So I don't actually know which one this is right now, this SDB. I'm just gonna tell it no. I don't care to unmount them. So we're going to erase the entire disk and install Linux Mint. The next screen is going to ask you which disk. So SDA is the Kingston drive that I put in. SDB is the, it's a 2 terabyte. Look at that. I thought it was a 1. Is the external SSD. So the previous screen was saying, hey, did you want to unmount these drives? I don't need to do that because we're installing from it. So anyway, long story short, you're going to know what drive you put in. Like, you're going to know it was a Kingston. You're going to know it was 480 gigabytes or whatever, right? You could put a Samsung or who knows. I think you get the drift here. So we're going to erase the entire disk because I don't care about anything that's on it. Obviously, the keyword here is it's going to erase the entire disk. So if you are doing this and you have a drive that you want to install Linux on, and for some reason you don't fully grasp that it's going to be erased to do this, it's going to be fully erased to do this. You're going to lose all your data. Okay, so now we're just going to click install now. And then this will go for a little while, and then it'll be done. So here's your last kind of warning. It's telling you that it's going to change the partition tables of SDA. It's going to create the following partitions, and this will destroy all data on any partitions on this drive. Okay, so there you go. That's your kind of final warning. Okay, so yeah, it's going to ask for a time zone. Edmonton's close enough for me. I don't care. Same time zone. I'm not in Edmonton. And it's going to ask you some information. So I'm just going to call it me. The name of the computer, I'm totally fine with that. And I'm going to put in a super secret secure password. And since this is going to be buried in my closet, hooked up to my TV, yes, I'm going to have a keyboard that has a trackpad built in, but I just want it to log in automatically. I don't want to have to type a password to get into my computer. So when I turn it on or reboot it or whatever, I want the OS to boot and go to the desktop, and I don't want to have to screw around. And you could also encrypt your home folder, but I don't need to do that. Okay, so now it's going to proceed with the rest of the install, and I will come back once that's done. Okay, setup is finished. So let's just restart. At some point, it'll tell you to remove your boot media or your installation media. Yeah, there you go. So I'm just going to unplug the Samsung drive that had the ISO. We'll hit enter, and it's going to reboot. I think that was like 10 minutes to install the OS, something like that. I'll review later, but there was a clock in the lower right on the install screen there. Should give us a clue of exactly how long it was, but yeah, not very long. Linux is always pretty quick to install. Okay, so you'll be greeted by the welcome screen. You can turn this off or you can just leave it. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is I want to go to the driver manager and just get the NVIDIA drivers installed. There is a driver, it's called the Nouveau driver. It'll work. You could leave it. It would be fine. You technically would have, yeah, it's called the Nouveau driver. You would have a driver for your graphics card and it would be fine. But I'm going to put the latest NVIDIA driver, proprietary, for the P400. So it's recommending the 535 driver. I'm not really sure why over the 545. I'm sure there's probably some reason, but I'm going to use, I've used this card in another Linux system and I installed this and it was fine. So I'm going to apply this and it's going to ask for your password. This will take a few minutes to install. Okay, so we're going to reboot, and when we come back, we will get into installing Kodi. Okay, back in a minute. All right, so we are back. I don't need to see this anymore, so I'm just going to get rid of it. Okay, so Kodi install. Let's give just a quick little background. I'm going to use the terminal to install it, and I'm going to install it via a flat pack. If you're not sure what a flat pack is, it's essentially just a program that is just contained within itself. So if you're familiar with Windows, let's say you install a program or something, and you know that sometimes they put files all over the file system, and there's DLLs and there's registry entries and, you know, all the magical stuff that happens on a Windows machine. A flat pack is just a program that's just by itself. So I guess the analogy or the analogous version of that on a Windows machine would be a portable piece of software. Certain types of software can be described as portable, meaning they can just run by themselves, like off of a USB stick or whatever, and there's no install needed. So having said that, Linux in its current form, in this particular install, it doesn't know where that software repository is. We have to tell it where it is. And if you're not familiar with what a repository is, as far as Linux is concerned, I mean, it's right in the name. It's a place where things are. Okay, so in an oversimplistic explanation, think of your Windows machine, and everybody knows that Windows gets updates, and your Windows OS knows where to get those updates because it's built into the OS. Right? It goes to a server that's hosted by Microsoft and it gets updates or whatever. So in Linux, and you could call that a repository if you wanted to. So in Linux, you can add repositories. There are some built-in ones, and they would be for the distribution specific. Like, so this is Linux Mint, so there's going to be Linux Mint repositories, or Ubuntu for that matter, because Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu. So now we're going to use a terminal. Don't be afraid of this, and I'll show you why. I am not one of those people that can read something and remember it forever. However, I can remember that that thing existed, and that's where Google comes in. So I'm going to literally search for how to install, Kodi Nexus, because that's the newest version on, and we're going to use Ubuntu because that's what Debian is built, or sorry, Debian. That's what Linux Mint is built on, is Ubuntu. And let me come over here and spell that right. And it's going to be 22.04. Okay. So here we go. How to install Kodi 20 Nexus in Ubuntu. So I'm going to go here. It's going to give you a little bit of preamble, you know, as these websites tend to do. So it's going to, you know, all the blah, 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 blah stuff. So we're going to install this PPA. So this is the repository, right? We're going to tell Linux Mint, hey, this repository exists. Okay, so there's a simple command. We're going to tell it to add a repository, and this is the repository's name right here. And in this repository is the Kodi piece of software. So we just copy this, Control C. In Linux, you can't just go Control V in the terminal. You have to go Control Shift V. Okay, and we're going to hit Enter. We're going to put password. Okay, now it's just saying, hey, you're about to add the following repository, and this is the repository's name. Press Enter to continue. I know I'm doing this, so there you go. Okay, we have the repository. This is the command to actually install the newest version of Kodi. So Control C, Control Shift V. Okay, hit Enter. It's going to say, do you want to install this? Yes, you do. Okay, it's going to do a little bit of downloading. I have to confirm again, so click Y for yes. All right, so now it's going to start downloading the Kodi Flatpak. Okay, so that's basically it. Like, Kodi's installed, right? We can run it. And we can go to system information, and there's the newest build, 20.04. If I hadn't have used the Flatpak, I would have been 20.2. I'm not sure why the PPAs lag behind for installing like the quote normal way without using a Flatpak. But anyway, that's that. So S exit. Okay, so let's put an add-on into Kodi. So we're going to need to turn unknown sources. Oops. Actually, it's easier if you just use the keyboard rather than the mouse. We're going to enable unknown sources. Okay. I'm going to go back to the file manager, and we're going to add a source, and we're just going to hit enter, and then you're going to type in the URL. Okay, and then we can just type in crew. Doesn't really matter what name you give it here. Oops, not crewy. And HTTPS. Let's go back and fix that. Okay, so we'll go to the add-on installer. We're going to install from a zip file, and we're going to go to the zip file of this. Okay, so it was just installed. Okay, back here, install from repository, the crew, and we're going to go to video add-ons and the crew, and we're going to click install, and it's going to install a bunch of other stuff. That's fine. Okay, and you can see there's things happening here in the background. All right, so now we should be able to just head back to the main Kodi window. So this is the add-on that we just did. So as an example, if we go to movies, and let's just see what the most popular movies are. So anyway, what you can do is just pick one, hit enter, it'll look for some links, and in its current state, you're going to be kind of stuck with whatever it finds on the internet, like as it sits. So you can use a premium downloader service. One of them would be Real Dbrid. And what that's going to do is it'll kind of unlock like premium servers where it can find sources for these things. So yeah, to add a premium downloader, we can go to Tools, Resolver Settings, and one of these will have Real Dbrid in it, right here. And what you have to do is you have to authorize an account. Okay, so once your Real Dbrid is set up, you can go back to the crew, and oops, it's better to use the arrow keys and backspace key. So we go back to, I don't know, TV shows as an example, and most popular TV shows. And let's see, season 1. Okay, so now you can see that your paid streams are coming in. What stream sources are coming in. And honestly, once you see that these aren't climbing anymore, you can just hit enter, which is actually cancel. And so here's 4K. I don't have 4K on this particular monitor. And then you can just go to 1080p.
So here's what I was talking about earlier. These are H.264, and here's a H.265 or HEVC, and sometimes it'll actually say H.265, but um, if you see HEVC, then that's what it is, right? So you can just hit enter, and it'll try to pull from that source. And there you go. You can also just go forward a bit, and that's it. Okay, so that's Kodi, and we can hit X to stop playing and go back to the main menu. Backspace will get you back the previous screen. I think Escape takes you straight to the main menu of Kodi. Yep. Um, that's pretty much in the nutshell Kodi. Um, I'm going to mess around with a few streams and just see how this computer and graphics card combo plays. Uh, I suspect it'll be just fine. Obviously, I can't show you content from here on YouTube because that's not going to work. Yeah, and then I'll come back and wrap this video up.
Okay, so there you have it. That computer build, graphics card installed, SSD, uh, Linux Mint installed, Kodi installed with one add-on. I just chose the Crew just as an example. I showed you a premium downloader called Real Dbrid, and that'll unlock the premium paid sources. And yeah, that'll get your Kodi up and running, and you can use an old machine like that Dell 780. Um, I'm not entirely sure when it was released, but I mean it has a second gen Core i5, so it's been a long time. That runs it just. I mean, there's no issues with it whatsoever. I have messed around with Kodi on there, and I've checked out a few episodes of various programs. Um, the H.265 play without a problem. I've also had it on 4K screen, and the 4K are playing just fine. That little P400 Quadro, more than powerful enough. And once I have my NAS back up and running, I will add a source in my Kodi that points to the NAS, and then you can go ahead and, or I should say, I can go ahead and play movies from my NAS again. And yeah, life is great. And this machine is so much quieter and smaller, and not as much light pollution coming from my closet. This big mid tower machine with like RGB and stuff on it, and loud fans. I can just see a glow from the crack in the closet door, and I can hear it. So this new machine will be a lot better. Thank you very much for watching. If you've made it to the end, you're a rock star. Um, you're the kind of people that this channel likes and needs. Like, subscribe, comment, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.